Hello, everyone. This is Zami Eccles-Irwin from FilmFestivalCircuit.com and the director of the Portland Comedy Film Festival. Right now, we're gearing up for our Winter 2026 event, which is going to take place on February 1st at the beautiful, historic Clinton Street Theater in Portland, Oregon. And in preparation for the event, we are talking with some of our participating filmmakers. So today we have Zucca Scotto di Carlo, who is the director behind Frozen Bagels. Zucca, thank you so much for meeting with me today.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
So Frozen Bagels, it's interesting. It's a micro short, so it's under 6 minutes. It's actually like 2 minutes. But in that time, you pack in a lot of good stuff. It's so funny. The characters are so distinct and interesting, and you put in a lot of little verbal quips and jokes, and it actually just feels so full. So tell me, what inspired this story?
Yeah, so at the time, I think I had just seen like Amy Poehler and Tina Fey um, at the Moda Center, actually.
Okay.
And they were talking a lot about how they used to do blackout sketches at Second City. So they're like one joke and then the lights go off. And I was like, that's such a wonderful idea for a film because it's so short and easily produced. So I was thinking about how I could make the most simple one joke story I could think of. And at the time, I had this toaster that had a button for frozen and a button for bagel. And I had a lot of frozen bagels. And I was like, what do you do in this situation? So it started out as an idea that it would just be like, kind of high pressure. Like there's a toaster, there's a frozen bagel, like someone's eyes, toaster, frozen bagel. Like, what are
Totally.
they going to do? Um, but then I started to think a lot about character. And I'm Italian American. My grandparents are very culturally Italian American. And whenever I'm in their house, they tend to turn sort of mundane, everyday activities into these really big, like communal efforts. And
Totally.
I find that really funny, obviously. But I also know that every time like I do anything, they make me feel so important because it really comes from this like intense care about everyone and what everyone's doing all the time in the house. So I wanted to show this sort of like funny side that like everyone's involved in toasting this bagel,
Totally.
but also, the kind of sweetness that comes from really caring about, how your family's bagel turns out.
Totally. Well, I love that, a very personal background. I mean, yeah, I think what I took away from this is that it's so over the top, it's so funny, but at the end, it's kinda wholesome. And there is actually sort of a real three-act structure in here, and there is a conclusion. Well, tell me a little bit about these characters. Where did you cast them, and how did you sort of get them to embody this over the top, kind of funny character?
Yeah, so I was inspired a lot by my grandparents, obviously. I actually took their names because, like, my grandparents are Joe and Joanne, and I actually call
So
them the
good.
Grand Joes. And I was like, how can I not use that? Um, as far as actors, I come from an acting background. So I not know a lot of actors, but they're usually around my age. So I was like, who can play this role? So went up to my dad and I was like, can you be your dad? Like, can you do this?
Totally.
And he's been helping me like act and watching me act for a really long time. So I think he like got into the flow of like taking direction really easily. And that was really fun. And then I actually played Joanne off camera. And then brought in a hand double for for
Nice.
the character so that I didn't have to be on screen.
Okay, well, I love that. Yeah, I think he really embodied the role, and maybe he got to put a little bit of himself in there. But yeah, it's so funny because Joanne is off screen, and then Tony, I guess, is the son who they're calling for some, the computer son they're calling for such a simple task, is not there, and you don't hear from him, but you sort of think that like, oh, he probably gets these calls all the time, and I don't know, all three of them become sort of on-screen personas, even if they're not on screen. I think that's just really clever about the writing. Tell me about the filming process. You're in one location. Did you have minimal equipment? Do you have a lot of equipment? What was that process like?
Yeah, so this was a very small like team in general, very small like level of equipment and honestly expertise because I'm not super qualified in the technical aspects of cinematography, but I thought that was really important to like sort of gain a knowledge of for me. So we just took a really long time figuring everything out. I actually reshot it twice. Um, and there were a lot of very funny, like, sort of little mistakes along the way. I know it took us a while to come up with, like, how are we going to have Joanne here, but also not here because I'm not Joanne, obviously.
Right.
So there were a bunch of, like, there was one idea that I had that, like, the camera would go down with the bagel and pop up and stuff like that. I remember one time I was looking at the footage that we had just shot, and the main character Joe was wearing a hat in half of it and not in the other
Mm,
half, and I was like, "Ooh, that is something I probably should have caught."
totally.
But yeah, it was really just, me and some family and friends just figuring it out, and it was really fun.
Excellent. Well, I mean, it's a strong performance and a strong script, and just a short and sweet concept. So I feel like this is the perfect way to cut your teeth on getting down with the technical sides. But I feel like it doesn't feel amateur. It doesn't feel new, and I feel like the editing's really smooth, and I don't know, kind of has its own personality. When the bagels are finally done, and you cut to that shot of the toaster, and it just feels fully recognized. Did you edit the film as well?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And what was that process like? Is this your first short, filmed short?
God, I have to think about that.
Maybe done
I
a few
don't
projects
think
before?
so, but it
Okay.
is the longest one I've done, and it's
Okay.
2 minutes, so
Totally.
um, it's definitely, one of my earliest, film pieces. But yeah,
Absolutely.
editing was it's really interesting because it's so much of it was just so intuitive, I think. Especially because, like, no one taught me how to edit, I guess. You just kind of figure it out. But I feel
Totally.
like today, especially, um, I feel like my whole generation has so much experience editing just because, like, we all grew up on iMovie
Right.
making, like, stupid little, like, videos. And I just, yeah, just vibes. A lot of
Totally.
vibes.
Well, I love that actually, yeah, I mean, with social media, encouraging sort of, like, edited clips and stuff like that, and I think there's a lot more familiarity with, like, I don't know, film language of editing now, which is kinda interesting to see because there's a lot of, really clever edits and sort of meta, I don't know, joke edits and stuff like that that I'm seeing, which I really like. Well, so tell me, what did you learn from this process, both in the sort of technical filming aspect, but also just the directing, writing aspect?
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like I learn so much anytime I'm, like, even on a film set, um, whether I'm getting coffee or, doing something
Totally.
more creative. Uh, it's so there's so much. I think it's interesting to see how things change too, because you start off with one idea and then it gets, like, even so as you write it, it gets, like, turns into something else, and then how it's acted. And then, I was working with my dad. So when he forgot lines, I was like, it's fine. We'll just use this.
Right.
But you can discover so much cool stuff. It's just when you're with other people, also, it's just someone will do something and it'll feel like a mistake, and then you're like, well, actually, if we redo this in this way. So yeah, I just discovered so many cool things. I got to have my cat in it. I didn't script that originally,
I saw
but
that.
I really enjoyed that because I was just inspired by the way my dad talks to my cat. It's just there's a
Yeah,
connection
totally.
there that I don't think I understand fully, but I really wanted to capture a piece of.
Well, and it fleshes it out. It feels very much just, more slice of life to have the cat walking up and he's talking to the cat at the beginning. So it's a nice, happy accident. I love what you're saying about working with a team, though. I feel like that's super important, and any film is, like, actually a living document until it's finally done. And I think that's sometimes the hardest part for creative types to contend with because they want to have that control over it. But ultimately, the fun of filmmaking is just like getting down with the team and letting some interesting, deviations from the script happen. But tell me, what are you working on next? Do you have more shorts? The filmmaking bug has certainly gotten in you.
Yeah, so I'm currently studying at NYU. Go Violets.
Nice.
So I'm always doing something for school or outside of school. Um, I think the easiest way to keep up with what's happening is just to follow me on Instagram if
Okay.
anyone's interested. It's Zucca_Maria. And yeah, so I'm always looking for more collaborators or interesting ideas. I know I'm definitely going to be working in comedy um, for the foreseeable future. Probably some historical comedy because I tend that way a lot. But
Interesting, okay. Like period piece, comedy?
yeah, I'm just really into history, and I find they're always it's just already so funny. Like the work is already done.
Totally.
You know, there's so many stupid things in
Right.
history, and
It's a good way to
I
put it.
always find my way back there somehow.
Okay, well, actually, I mean, that's great, then you get, some costuming and some visual, intrigue up on screen. Do you have any little ideas in that direction, or you're still just kind of, testing the waters in different ways?
Yeah, I did a lot of work with the presidents, a couple like some time ago.
Okay,
So that was interesting. Uh, and the problem there was that when you have a really weird president that you're writing about, you kind of have to like educate people as you go along.
right.
And I'm very interested in niche history and making jokes off of niche history. So now basically I'm thinking about like longer form content that gives like more context to make things funnier, or maybe working with some more well-known historical figures.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add about, frozen bagels?
That's about it.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you so much for talking with me. And frozen bagels is it's so short and sweet, but actually so relatable and funny. And I think has an impact much broader than it's just narrow 2 minute duration. I'm excited to play this at the Portland Comedy Film Festival on February 1st, and I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more from you, man.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.